Welcome back to the deep dive. So today our mission is a really targeted one.
I like the sound of that.
We've been digging into all this research on, well, on highly precise, evocative language for the natural world.
Right.
And we're going to turn all that information into, immediate high-definition vocabulary for you.
It's really an exercise in lexical efficiency, isn't it? We're trying to move past the general terms.
Exactly.
Because if you think about it, in communication, you want shortcuts. Words that convey these complex ideas instantly. Vague descriptions they dilute the message.
They really do. I think it's the difference between just, seeing nature and actually experiencing it, and then being able to relay that experience. We all get a walk in the woods, right? But what if you could use just one word to evoke the smell of damp earth, the light, the ancient quiet?
That's the power of precision. That one word becomes a shortcut, and it saves all that informational noise.
That is the goal. So for our deep dive today, we are focusing on 3 magnificent words that really take us off the beaten path.
Into the wild.
Into the wild, we're going deep on Sylvan, Petalody, and Thalassic. You are about to seriously upgrade how you see the world outside. Okay, so let's start with a word that just immediately makes me feel calm. The word is Sylvan.
Sylvan.
That's Sylvan. It's an adjective.
And the core definition is, pretty straightforward. It's anything related to the woods or a forest, specifically something that's pleasantly wooded or shaded.
Right. But like we said, the definition is just the start. We need to get into the emotional weight of it.
Yes.
Because I could say woodsy, right? But that just feels functional. A park with a few trees could be woodsy.
I see what you mean. It's a very plain word.
But when you use Sylvan, it feels like you're inviting someone into a sanctuary. It makes me think of deep shade, peace, a kind of ancient history.
Yeah.
Why is that nuance so important?
Well, it really goes back to the origin of the word. Sylvan comes straight from Latin, from the word silva, which just means forest or wood. But, and this is the key, in classical literature, in mythology, the Silva was almost always this place filled with spirits, with mystery. It had depth.
So when you say Sylvan, you're tapping into that whole classical, profound idea of the forest.
Exactly. You're not just saying where something is, you're setting a mood.
The sources had this one description that really nailed it for me. It was about a quiet trail where the sunlight could barely peek through a thick oak canopy.
Yes, that struggle for light.
That's it. It creates this sense of enclosure, but a safe one, a protective feeling.
And the sources really emphasize that. The word Sylvan is all about the atmosphere created by that shade. It's the visual texture of the place. You picture an old-growth forest, ferns everywhere, moss hanging down. That's pure Sylvan.
Okay, so let me ask you this then. What about a really dense, dark redwood forest, say in California? Is that Sylvan? Or is that too overwhelming to be pleasantly wooded?
That's a great question. And the research suggests that the pleasant part is actually the key.
So there's a line.
There's a line. A terrifying, impenetrable jungle might be a forest, but it's probably not Sylvan. The word implies a sort of harmony, a place a person could comfortably spend an afternoon. It suggests beauty, not threat.
So it's more about the human experience in the woods, that deep peace.
Yeah.
If I say I'm going on a Sylvan retreat, I'm telling you I'm looking for shade and quiet, not necessarily a rugged survival trip.
Precisely. And that example sentence we found really drives it home. We spent the afternoon on a Sylvan retreat, miles away from the noise and concrete of the city.
Right. It defines the experience by what's not there. Noise, concrete.
And by what is there? Peace, shade. That's a beautifully transportive word.
So for you, the listener, using Sylvan Just, it instantly elevates your description. It packages up this whole profound environment into one word.
All right, let's shift gears now. We're going to change scale pretty dramatically.
Okay.
We're moving from the vast ancient forest to the almost microscopic detail in a single flower.
This one is fascinating.
It is. Our next word is highly specialized. It's beautiful, and it's actually deeply scientific. It's Petalody.
Petalody. Petalody. It's a noun, and I have to admit, when I first saw it, I thought it was going to be something poetic, like the melody of petals or something.
I can see that, but no, it describes a very specific, almost shocking botanical process.
It really is.
The core definition is the transformation of other flower parts into petals. And this is the critical part. It's usually the stamens, the pollen-producing organs.
Okay, wait, let's slow down on that because that is a huge idea. You're saying the parts of the flower designed for reproduction are basically giving up their job to become purely decorative.
That's it,
That
exactly.
feels so counterintuitive, biologically speaking.
It is. And that's why the word is so valuable. It captures the science behind this visual spectacle we see. In a lot of cases, this is the result of centuries of cultivation by humans.
Oh, so we did this.
We did this.
Yeah.
Or sometimes it's a natural mutation.
Yeah.
But humans have consistently chosen flowers that show this trait, which leads to what we call double flowers.
So when I see a rose or a camellia that looks just impossibly full with all those layers, that's not just a big flower. That's a structural change. That's petalody.
That is petalody at work.
Yeah.
It's often called a botanical miracle because the plant's genetics are being told to prioritize aesthetics over reproduction. You'll notice the stamens are often gone completely, which makes the flower sterile.
Wow.
It's truly the floral world putting on its most elaborate, fancy dress.
I love that phrase. My grandmother grew these incredibly dense tea roses, and they were so stuffed with petals, I honestly thought she was like sticking extra ones in there.
Right.
But now I realize, no, that was petalody. It gives me a totally new way to appreciate them.
And that's exactly what the word unlocks. You move past just saying, oh, what a beautiful full flower, to recognizing the mechanism of that beauty. It's a level of detail most people they don't see.
The example sentence we have really captures that visual result. The florist pointed out the rare petalody in the double bloom hibiscus, which gave the flower its ruffled Victorian appearance.
That Victorian connection is perfect, isn't it? That era loved opulence, ornamentation, that density in flowers.
It's a deliberate move away from the simple, single layer flower. So when you use the word petalody, you're communicating that you get it. You see the biology that makes it so magnificent.
It gives you descriptive power, yes, but also real scientific insight. It teaches you to look for the transformation itself.
Okay, so from the deep shade of the Sylvan woods and the intricate detail of petalody, we're now going to look outward toward the horizon, into the blue.
Our final word is thalassic. That's Thallassic.
Thalassic.
It's another adjective. And it relates to the sea or the ocean. But, and this is a really critical distinction, it usually refers to smaller seas or, more importantly, to coastal waters.
This is where we have to connect the dots, right? Because my first thought is, why not just say oceanic? It's all the ocean, isn't it?
It seems that way, but there's a massive nuance there. And it's all about scale and our interaction with it. Oceanic comes from Oceanus, the old Greek idea of the giant river that circled the whole world. It evokes the vast, untamed, open blue, the terrifying deep, where humanity is just tiny.
So oceanic feels almost mythical. Yeah. Limitless depth, very detached from land. It sounds cold.
It does. Thalassic, on the other hand, it comes from the Greek thalassa, which just means the sea. But historically, that meant the seas that were navigable, that were close to shore, like the Mediterranean.
I see. It's anchored.
It's anchored. Thalassic is tied to the coast, to civilization, to the human sensory experience. It's the water you can smell and hear and feel.
It's a word that engages all the senses, then, not just sight. The source material had a great line for this, something like, thalassic is a word that smells like sea salt and sounds like crashing waves.
Perfect. It's the salt on the docks, the color of the water over a sandbar, the rhythm of the tides. That's all thalassic.
Okay, let's test this out. I'm on a boat 500 miles out in the middle of the Atlantic. The water's black, the swells are huge, no land anywhere. What's the word?
That is undeniably an oceanic experience. You're feeling the vastness, the raw power.
Right.
Now you're sitting on a pier in a small fishing village. You're watching the turquoise Gulf water. You can smell the clam beds.
That's profoundly thalassic. I get it. The context changes everything.
Immensely. And if your goal is to be descriptive, choosing thalassic sets a very specific scene. It becomes familiar, immediate, sensory.
The example sentence highlights this perfectly. The hotel room offered a stunning thalassic view with the turquoise waters of the Gulf stretching to the horizon.
The key words there are Gulf and turquoise. They tell you it's shallower, warmer, coastal water. It's not the deep, endless abyss.
It's fantastic. For you, the listener, knowing this difference means you stop confusing the terrifying immensity of the open ocean with the lived reality of the coastline.
Thalassic is the word for the vacation, the fishing village, the rich life, right where the land meets the sea.
So as we step back here, what's really clear is that Sylvan, Petalody, and Thalassic, they're not just fancy, obscure words.
Not at all. They're tools. Tools for high-resolution observation, each one specializing in a different part of nature.
We've covered scale, mechanism, and location. Sylvan gives us that profound feeling of peace and shade in the woods. It elevates a simple description into something ancient and protective.
And Petalody gives us the how behind floral beauty. It moves us past just the surface to see the actual transformation happening in the bloom. It turns a simple compliment into a really insightful observation.
Yeah, it does. And finally, Thalassic. It just precisely locates our mental map. It lets us draw a clear line between the raw, immense ocean and the sensory, coast-anchored experience of the sea.
Acquiring this kind of specific vocabulary it's like installing a new set of sensors in your brain. It fundamentally changes how you see the environment.
You stop just seeing a beach.
And you start smelling the Thalassic air. You stop seeing a thick flower, and you start looking for Petalody.
They're words that make you sound incredibly well-informed, sure, but the real value is internal, isn't it? They make you engage with the world on a much deeper level.
That's the real application of knowledge. When you get a hold of high-quality, specialized language, it acts like a mental trigger. It tells you what to notice. It forces you to see the nuance.
So now that you have these concepts, you have to use them. Try to find a Sylvan path to walk down this weekend. Look for that specific quality of light.
Examine a dense rose or a camellia and see if you can spot the Petalody at work.
And the next time you visit the coast, describe it, not just as a sea view, but as a stunning thalassic landscape.
And as you start using these words, here's a final thought to chew on. If we've just found 3 words that can dramatically change how you see the woods, flowers, and the sea, how many other specific, amazing phenomena are you overlooking just because you don't have the one perfect word for them yet?
The world is full of high-definition detail, just waiting for a name. We'll be here next time to help you find more of them. Until then, speak with style and keep diving deep.